What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already found us, we're on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, William Fratelli Cooking and Guns channel, where we post one cooking video a week. We try our best to post at least one cooking video a week. And then we have something on Sundays that we label Sunday-Gunday. We've been doing it now for a few months. Been going pretty well on the channel. Been getting a lot of subscribers with this content that we've been posting every Sunday. We try our best to post at least one video. We've been a little bit busy. We have a topic that we wanted to throw on tonight just because, you know, we've been a little bit behind on the content. We're trying to relocate to a secondary location. It's taking longer than expected. So we could do our videos with more space for especially for the cooking videos, and then obviously for this Sunday-Gunday content that we've just started posting not too long ago. We want to have a little bit more room so we could do our videos and better background and just more space. It's better to have space when you're posting these videos on YouTube. Any kind of content that you're posting, you want to have more room. Tonight's topic is going to be a quick one. It's relatable to a lot of the other content that we've posted on the channel before. We like to do a lot of gun reviews. We like to do the cooking videos, obviously, gun reviews, and try to give you guys as much guidance as possible when it comes to maneuvering in your personal lives with all this uncertainty and uncertain times and we're living in, seeing a lot of violence, a lot of criminal activity on the news locally throughout the country. We're seeing a lot of reckless behavior with firearms. We're seeing a lot of people, a lot of lives being taken, and a lot of injury happening as well. Not just lives taken, especially in our area here where I'm located in South Florida. We're seeing a lot of people with firearms, a lot of reckless behavior, like we've said before in these videos. So we want to post and try to push out as much guidance videos that we can. We like to, you know, the informational videos like these are the most helpful. We get a lot of subscribers, new subscribers, because of this content. A lot of people that are subscribing to our channel are new to firearms. Some are, you know, some have been carrying firearms for a while, but some are new, and they appreciate the guidance that we give. We don't give any legal advice. Once again, we just try our best to push out as much informational videos like these with the whiteboard here on my right. We just try to go into detail on certain topics when we're not posting any kind of safety equipment or gun reviews. This stuff is more in depth when it comes to the law. Certain laws vary depending on what state you're located in, what city you're located in. We get a lot of viewers from out of the country. We get about 2% of our viewers from Germany. We have about 4% of our viewers from the United Kingdom, which United Kingdom, last time I checked, are not allowed to have any firearms in the United Kingdom. They don't carry weapons there. Germany, I believe, carry weapons. So we have a lot of different viewers from different parts of the country, the United States. And then we have a majority of them are here in Florida, where we're based out of. And then we have people from all around the world, Spain, Portugal, several countries, France. So we have a lot of viewers. The channel's expanding more. We don't have that many subscribers, but we're getting there day by day. So we just like to do a lot of talking, like I told you guys in the beginning when we started this channel, and we made it into a hybrid channel. So once we fired off the cooking channel, we turned this channel into a hybrid, meaning that we were going to do the gun content and the you know, advisory videos and just a lot of talking. We do a lot of talking on this channel, but it's good information. It's useful. It's good for you if you're maneuvering, you have a firearm, if you're a firearms permit holder, or if you're not a firearms permit holder, you just want to be safe with that weapon. You don't want to make any mistakes, and that's what we're just trying to have people avoid making any kind of mistakes when it comes to maneuvering with a firearm. You might not know the laws in your area, so it's good for you to research the laws in your area and see what applies to you, what doesn't apply to you, and just try your best to take the content that we post on this channel and implement it in your own lives and see what works for you, what works best. The label for tonight's video, it's not Sunday-Gunday. This is an episode of Sunday-Gunday. Tonight's not Sunday. Tonight is Wednesday, but we went ahead and said we were gonna go ahead and throw on some more content just so we could top off the channel with some more videos, just in case we don't get a chance to do a Sunday-Gunday video like this last week, I believe it was, or the week before. We weren't able to post, so we were a bit behind. Tonight we're gonna just throw a quick topic. It's not gonna be too long. The label on this one is gonna be reasonable perception of a deadly threat. So a reasonable perception, many people perceive things differently. Many people view things differently, process information differently. We're all unique. We all have different ways of processing information, and especially in split seconds, when seconds matter. You might perceive something to be a threat that is not a threat. You might perceive something to be a threat that might rise to the level that it might be a threat, might not. It's 50-50. Some people have a gray area. They can't determine whether or not they're facing a deadly threat. In this case, it's going to be a reasonable perception of a deadly threat. So the definition of that is basically it refers to an individual's subjective belief that they're in imminent danger, and the perception is evaluated based on what a reasonable person would conclude under similar circumstances. So basically, the reasonable perception of a deadly threat is a reasonable perception of a threat or a deadly threat. It's not an actual perception of a threat. An actual perception of anything would be, we know 100% for sure. We know all the facts and circumstances. We're aware of everything. That would be 100%. That would be actual. We're not talking about actual. We're talking about what laws are gonna hold you to when it comes to using any kind of a force, and up to deadly force, to a deadly threat. And you're gonna have to be able to explain why you used that amount of force if you happen to use your firearm to protect yourself or someone else. That's why we post a lot of content related to third-party encounters and why avoiding those, if at all possible, you should try to avoid those. We understand that it's not always possible. You might be in a situation where you can't avoid a third-party encounter, and you have to intervene because it might involve you. It might be close to involving you. So we're going to just go more in depth as to what reasonable perception of a deadly threat would be. Different scenarios. We're going to post a few here on the whiteboard to my right, and a few, and just go into detail as to what we're talking about and what kind of circumstances you might find yourself in if you happen to be nearby a deadly threat or almost deadly threat, and you have a reasonable perception to that deadly threat, and how you're going to articulate your information to law enforcement and anyone else, as when it comes to the courts. And these things sometimes are not clean cut. There are times where certain situation might reach a level that's not clear cut, and is going to require the courts being involved, you being involved in the court system, having to testify or witness or explain your actions in a court of law, and then also to law enforcement. Obviously, that's the first step. So we want you guys to just be aware of this. We're gonna go ahead and do our disclosure for tonight like we usually do, and then we'll go ahead and switch over to the whiteboard. That way you guys can get a little bit more information on this topic. Try not to make it that long. No promises again, because these videos tend to be longer when I'm trying to wrap it up quicker. It never ends less than 30 minutes, but we'll try to make it quick for tonight. So thank you for tuning into the channel. Welcome back to William Fratelli Cooking and Guns channel. This channel is for educational purposes only. We preach lawful self-defense. We're by no means gun fanatics. We are not giving any legal advice. We're just simply giving you guidance and what we believe you should follow, and what you should do, and what you should and should not do. Actually, we're not claiming to be firearms experts. and we are simply just voicing our concerns and why you should maintain your firearms and responsibly maintain those firearms responsibly, and just be careful with your firearms and maneuvering in uncertain times. We have disclosure. We have message to the trolls. As usual, we get trolls on the channel all the time. Trolls posting all kinds of weird content on the comment section, posting all kinds of weird comments and advertisements and just weird stuff. You know, we have people that might not be trolls, that they want to act like a troll. You know, people that we know that just want to post all kinds of weird stuff. We're not going to tolerate it. You're just going to be simply blocked. We don't have any time for that. All right. We have our shout outs that we're going to do now, and then we'll do it towards the end as usual. We have Gun Freak Nation on YouTube. This is a channel that we collaborate on YouTube, posting Second Amendment content like us, righteous self-defense content, righteous responsible behavior, no reckless behavior, of course, what we're seeing on the news. We don't want any of that. Gun Freak Nation with T Electric, president of Gun Freak Nation on YouTube, Uncle Terry up in Detroit, posting all kinds of Second Amendment videos, gun reviews, and all kinds of other fruitful content on YouTube. So we have that in Detroit, Uncle Terry. Shout out to Uncle Terry with Gun Freak Nation. We have Uncle James with the Alert Zone TV up in Iowa. Also posting all kinds of videos when it comes to firearm reviews and fair use videos involving incidents where people have to use their weapons in self-defense or in defense of others, in defense of preserving life and protecting life. We have also Trey 57 Production up in Pennsylvania. Trey 57 Production, another gun tuber that we collaborate with on YouTube. These are 3 channels posting all kinds of good content like us. Just once again, responsible, reasonable, righteous conduct. No reckless behavior. No type of reckless behavior. No advocating for any kind of violence unless it's righteous violence in defense of yourself to preserve life or preserve another person's life. So we have that disclosure that we just told you guys. We'll do the shout outs once again towards the end. We just want you guys to be aware of what we're trying to post on this channel, and once again what you should and should not do. We're coming from 16 years of law enforcement experience. Myself, I've been a armed security guard in the state of Florida since 2010, I believe September 2010. Been doing the same job for 16 plus years. I've worked for companies like Whack and Hut, also known as G4S. Now is I believe it's Allied Universal, bought up by Allied Universal. I've worked for the federal government, United States Department of Homeland Security, law enforcement. I have worked for private security, Blackwater Agency, worked for several other companies in the private sector, and now currently a police officer. I've been a police officer in the state of Florida since January of 2014. So that's just some of our experience, so you guys are aware where we're coming from, and just so you're aware of what the content is. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna switch over to this whiteboard here on my right. That way we could go more into detail on what we're talking about as far as reasonable perception of deadly threat. All right, stand by. All right, guys, so we're back. We're here with the whiteboard behind me. Tonight we're gonna talk about, first of all, we're gonna separate this into 2 categories. We're gonna, first of all, it's gonna be the reasonableness part of this, the objective reasonableness for your perception of a deadly threat. Let's say it's a deadly threat. It could be any other situation. It could be something that's hasn't risen to the level of a deadly threat. We're gonna get more into that. But for this first part of it, we're gonna go ahead and talk about the objective reasonableness. and what exactly that means in lay terms, regular terms. And then we'll talk about something called the totality of circumstances. That's a second standard that the courts are going to hold you to when it considers any kind of assessing the reasonableness part. So that first part, that's an extension to the first part. So you have your objective reasonableness. We're going to put it up here. That way you guys can see it on the board. So number one, objective reasonableness. So that's the first part. So the objective reasonableness for this right here is going to basically be facts, any kind of facts or any kind of circumstances that a reasonable person would have also done the same thing you would have done. So something clear cut, you know, something that another person would have been observing and would have acted in the same manner that you did. So that's first off. The second part of this is going to be totality of circumstances. It's a term that the courts use a lot. You hear it a lot in the courts. So totality of circumstances. All right, straighten this out right here. So basically, the totality of circumstances, like we said, this is going to be coupled with the first part, which is the reasonableness part. So the courts consider assessing the reasonableness of a perceived threat, and this can be several different things. We're not going to put all these on the board, but we're going to go one step at a time, and we're going to explain to you what it means and what scenarios we'll put up on here. That way you guys can get a clear picture. The behavior of the aggressor. So let's say you have actions from a person that's any kind of aggressive gestures. If you have verbal threats, like somebody's speaking and saying, you know, I'm gonna unalive you, or I'm gonna delete you. We like to use those words because YouTube is very sensitive when it comes to any kind of violence or any kind of using those rough words on YouTube. We can't afford anything like that on this channel. We get a strike. YouTube likes to do strikes real quick. You know, they've done it to our other two-way channels that are collaborating with us. They can tell you, they'll give you a strike for just saying anything like that. You know, you have to be very careful with any kind of misinformation or any kind of medical misinformation. It could be anything. It doesn't even have to just be that, but we're going to be very careful on this video as usual. You have a person that's the behavior of the aggressor. Let's say you have one aggressor and they are saying things like, you know, anything that's perceived to be a danger. They're saying they're going to unalive you or delete you. You know, they might tell you that over the phone. They might tell you that in person. They might tell you that on the street. You know, maybe you're in a grocery store and somebody says they're going to do something to you. Different story. If somebody says something to you over the phone, we've told you guys in past videos, it's not immediate because it's not in front of you. It's not happening. It's not happening in front of you. So for the sake of this video, the behavior of the aggressor. So we're just going to write behavior right here. Behavior. I'm going to put a circle right here. All right. Put a line right here. We're going to do another circle. The context of the encounter. So the location, the time of day, the context of the encounter. It can be location, time of day. It can be past interaction. So this has happened more than once. Can be that. That can influence the perception of the threat. So maybe you've been threatened by somebody in the past, or this person has done harm to someone else in the past, or anything like that. This has been an issue that's happened in the past. So you have context of the encounter. So we're just going to write location right here. Location. And what else did we say here? We got location, time of day, and put a plus sign here, past interactions. It's a lot right there, but we're gonna try to keep it simple here. Try not to confuse you guys. We also have something called the presence of weapons. So presence of weapons, if it's visible, we're just gonna write weapons right here. Weapons. Right. Weapons. So the visibility, obviously, if you see a weapon, if you see somebody with a baseball bat, all right, it doesn't have to be a firearm. It can be a firearm. Somebody could say maybe they have a firearm on them and they don't have a firearm on them. It all depends on the situation. That's why we're talking about reasonableness here. We're not talking about actual reasonableness. There's a reason for that term. There's a reason why this whole we're doing this whole video, because this is all subjective. It depends on who you are. It could be somebody that's maybe pulled a firearm on somebody in the past. It could be somebody that maybe has done harm to someone's vehicle in the past. Maybe they vandalized somebody's car or did something with any kind of other equipment. It doesn't have to be a firearm. It could be a baseball bat. Somebody smashed let's say your neighbor's car in the past. You know, the individual has smashed their car in the past, and you already know that this person has a tendency to do this kind of stuff or this kind of behavior. So that's what we're talking about when it comes to subjective visibility of a weapon. Might not always be visible, but we're just putting that there. That way you can just get an idea. This is another bubble right here. So we got 1, 2, 3. We got behavior, any kind of aggressive behavior or any kind of behavior that would constitute, you know, your antennas going up. Like I say, your antennas go up and you're like, all right, you know, I need to pay attention to this person or persons, maybe more than one. You might have more than one attacker. It's not always clean cut. Again, we have location, time of day, and past interactions. And then we have the severity of the threat. So the severity of the threat obviously is for any kind of potential for serious or serious injury or death. So severe, we'll just write severe here, or severity, we'll put severity. Could fit severity right here. Right, so you got objective reasonableness. Any person in your shoes would have done what you did, and then that's coupled with plus sign right here. We'll put the plus sign. Totality of circumstances. So this is a recipe right here. This is all going to be part of the it's a combination. It's all going to be part of the mixture in why a reasonable perception of a deadly threat would be justified if you are faced with anything like that. All right. Once again, it's not a requirement of an actual threat. An actual threat is we know all the details, we know all the circumstances, we know 100% this person has a firearm. We know the firearm is a real firearm. It's not a fake. It's not a water gun. It's not a replica gun. It's not a BB gun. That would be an actual perception of a deadly threat. Okay, so we're talking about reasonable, meaning that any reasonable person would assume that this is an actual threat. So you're not going to know 100%. It's impossible for you to know 100%. All right, so it's not a requirement for it to be an actual threat. Just a reasonable perception has to be present. All right, and the self-defense concept, obviously it's self-defense. So you have to be able to articulate that it was used for individuals that you were trying to protect or yourself. Like we say in the past in this channel, we don't advocate for any kind of violence, any kind of unlawful activity, any kind of unreasonable activity, any kind of unlawful, illegal activity. We don't advocate for any kind of violence. We don't even advocate for involving yourself in third-party encounters. We did a video not too long ago, avoiding third-party encounters, and it's for this same reason. You might perceive something that might not be what you think it is. It might be a domestic. It might be somebody having an argument with their significant other, and then you get involved and you escalate it, and it turns out that it wasn't that, and then you can find yourself in a world of legal troubles, depending on what kind of coverage you have. Like I've said in the past, there's concealed carry insurance. There's concealed carry insurance for private gun carriers here in the States, in the United States. I happen to be a member of the USCCA, which is one of those. There's all kinds of different companies out there, like United States Concealed Carry Association. There's all kinds of different insurance companies out there that offer this protection. But even with all those protections in place, like we've said in past videos, it's not going to make a difference if you make the wrong move and you're not justified in what you're doing. So you need to be very careful as it relates to third-party encounters. You don't want to get involved in anything that you're not 100 or at least close to 100% aware of. You know, something that's obvious in front of you. Let's say we're going to do a scenario. We're not going to put it up on here, but let's just say you see a guy on the floor. He's been knocked out. There's glass all over the floor. He's just been thrown through a window or smacked through a window, and you see a guy with a baseball bat. This person has a baseball bat. It's pretty obvious that it's a solid piece of wood. It's a Louisville Slugger. It's a real baseball bat. It's not a rubber baseball bat. It's a real wooden baseball bat. You can see that, and you see the male aggressor on top of the second person, which we'll put for this. It's going to be a male, and that male's on the floor, and you're there, and you're armed civilian or armed concealed carrier, and you witness this first male on the ground, knocked out, unconscious, and you see the second male getting ready to take the baseball bat and swing it and hit the guy on the ground, and he's gonna strike the guy with the baseball bat and hit him upside the head, and you happen to be there. That scenario right there, I'm not a lawyer, once again, I'm not a legal expert, but in that scenario right there, you have a reasonable perception of a deadly threat. This person has just been knocked out cold. They've been incapacitated. They're on the ground. They're unresponsive. Maybe they are still responsive. They're on their back. They're on the floor, and you got a guy over here with a baseball bat, crazy looking guy, and he's ready to swing and hit this guy that's on the ground. That's a reasonable perception of a deadly threat. And in that instance, you're authorized to use up to deadly force if you have to. Maybe you don't have to use deadly force. Maybe you could just hold them at gunpoint until the police get there. Once again, everybody's responsible for themselves. You're responsible as a concealed carrier. If you're carrying a firearm, you have that firearm to protect yourself. You're under no obligation to protect anybody else. You're not a cop. Cops have something called the duty to act, like we've said in the past on these past videos, where law enforcement has obligation to intervene if they're equipped to handle the situation. They want law enforcement to intervene if possible if they're equipped to handle the situation. But if you're unequipped, you're not able to handle the situation, they don't want you getting involved in anything like that that's going to put you at risk or put anybody in your family or anybody around you at risk. So even in that instance, law enforcement, to a certain extent, doesn't have to intervene. That's why we have on-duty authorities. That's why we have people that are getting paid. They're on the clock, and they are on-duty authorities. You know, the best thing you can do is, if you don't want to get involved in something like this, be a good witness. You go ahead and call law enforcement and let them know who you are. If you're a cop, if you're not a cop, if you're a civilian, you're an armed civilian, and you decide not to get involved in the situation, which would be might not be morally acceptable to some people. Some people might say, you know, you should have intervened. You could have saved that person. But the truth of the matter is, you're under no obligation as a civilian. If you're a non-sworn person, you're not a police officer. You're not a certified police officer. In your state, you are not sworn. You're not a constable. You're not a deputy sheriff. You're not a police officer, a federal officer, a marshal. If you don't have any kind of a police authority or certification, you are not under any obligation to intervene in any kind of incident. If you're a private citizen, that weapon is for you to protect yourself and your family. So if you find it fit to where you decide that you're not going to get involved because you don't want to get involved and have any kind of legal implications from this incident, it's pretty clean cut that this incident right here with the baseball bat is a clean cut incident. There's no chance of this being a fake incident. These are not actors. I mean, it's pretty obvious if you see somebody get knocked out, thrown through a glass window, or knocked on the ground and they're about to get clubbed in the head with a baseball bat. It's pretty obvious that this person is in imminent danger of death or great bodily harm. But once again, you're under no obligation to get involved. If you choose not to get involved, you're under no legal obligation to involve yourself in any kind of incident that you don't want to. But if you happen to involve yourself in this kind of incident, more than likely you're going to be fine, because this person was in peril. This person was in a perception. You actually perceive the incident to be a reasonable perception of a deadly threat. So we'll get that out of the way. That one situation right there. We're going to erase all this here because we already went over it. I just want to give you guys examples of what we're talking about. Just trying to make it clean cut. Not everything's going to be clean cut, obviously, like we've said in the past in these videos. Some of this stuff is going to be subjective. It's going to be it's not going to be the same. There's thousands of scenarios that we could go over and we'll never finish if we continue. We're already 16 minutes and change into this video. If we sat here all night and try to talk about every scenario that we could come up with, we'd never finish this video. So we're just giving you a few. That way you could be aware and you decide what you're going to do. If you're law enforcement and you're equipped to handle a situation, and you obviously are trained, if you are a certified police officer in your state, depending on your state laws, you know, if you're a certified police officer, you'd be a constable. Some areas consider their or label their officers constables, deputy sheriffs, city police officers, state troopers. You have federal officers. You have all these different agencies. Depending on who you are, in the end, it doesn't matter. You're law enforcement. If you're equipped to handle a situation, and you feel like you're obligated, you go ahead and get yourself involved in it. Everybody's different. Not everybody's gonna have the same. Not everybody's gonna have the same opinion when it comes to this stuff. If you're a private citizen and you don't hold any certifications in your state as a sworn police officer, marshal, any kind of a municipal officer, a federal officer, state trooper, any kind of stuff like that, deputy sheriff, if you don't have any certification and you don't want to get involved, once again, you're under no obligation. Okay? Number one is to protect yourself, because you're the one that's going to have to deal with all the legal implications after this incident if it turns out not to be what you thought it was. And that can happen. It happens. I mean, it happens all the time. You know, we're not perfect. So you just have to do what's best for you. All right, so we got that out of the way. We're going to go ahead and do another example of a threat that could be perceived a certain way. It turns out it's not. But once again, the reasonableness part of this instructional video, once again, it's titled Reasonable Perception of a Deadly Threat. Right? I sound like a broken record, but I'm going to repeat it over and over again just so you guys can get it. Reasonable perception of a deadly threat. It's not actual. So if something unfolds later on and you weren't aware of, and you happen to do what you did, as long as a reasonable person would have done the same thing in your shoes, you're fine. It doesn't matter if it turns out it wasn't that way. So we're going to go and do another example. We're not going to put this one on the whiteboard here. We're just going to talk about it. So number 2. Let's say you decide to go to the ATM at night. We've posted videos on using the ATM after hours and how it can be dangerous. It's not advised. I wouldn't do it. I've done it in the past. I've done it recently where I needed to do a last-minute transaction, and you're putting yourself at risk when you go to these ATMs at night and you're depositing large amounts of money, or you're withdrawing large amounts of money, or maybe you're just withdrawing $5 or $10 or whatever the case might be, $20, and then you find yourself in a situation where you're facing a violent forcible felony, which here in the state of Florida, forcible felonies are one of them. On the list of forcible felonies would be a strong arm robbery. So let's say you're at the ATM and you're in a drive up ATM, let's say, just for the sake of this video, and you have somebody that walks up to your driver's side window while you're trying to put your debit card in the machine, and then this person happens to pull out what appears to be a firearm to you. It looks like a firearm, It feels like a firearm. They put it to your head and they say, give me everything out of your account right now. Empty the account and give me the money. And so you have your car in park. You have your hands on the steering wheel. You don't have any opportunity to be able to draw a firearm at that second. So you go ahead and you comply with the person that's committing a strong armed robbery. And now it's a strong armed robbery with a firearm. As far as you know, it's a firearm. So you go ahead and you do as that person tells you to do. You go ahead and withdraw whatever the maximum amount of money is for that transaction. You can't obviously withdraw everything out of your account if you have a significant amount of money in your account. But let's just say you withdraw the daily limit or the daily limit for your bank or whatever. Let's say it's $1,000, and you know you have your hands on the steering wheel. And you tell the person that has you at gunpoint. It's a hooded individual. They're masked, and it's just one for this scenario. And you tell them, it only lets me take 1,000. I'm taking 1,000 out now. I'm gonna give it to you in cash. And he says, all right, go ahead and give me the cash. You withdraw the cash and you hand it to him. And you see an opportunity where in the gun world, we've talked about this in the past. We call this drawing from the drop. If you're drawing from the drop, it means that you're already at a disadvantage. It means that you have to have a quick draw, meaning that you're going to have to be able to draw that weapon in less than 1.5 seconds, close to 2 seconds. You're going to have to draw that firearm and be able to get effective rounds on target, meaning that individual that's to your left that has you at gunpoint, you're going to have to be able to draw that firearm, not draw any attention to yourself or attention to that person, and be able to neutralize or delete or unalive that threat in order to save yourself. And let's say you go ahead and you do that, and you're able to you draw your firearm and you're able to fire at this individual, and you fire, let's say, 2 rounds, and you're able to put this person down. You're able to neutralize the threat. We're gonna go ahead and just throw a quick statistic into this one before we say what the outcome is for this scenario. The outcome that you're going to be assaulted or you're going to be facing any kind of a deadly threat if you comply with a armed robber in the United States is about 25% chance that you will still be assaulted or have deadly force used against you in a robbery, armed robbery or strong arm robbery. Let's say there's about 75% chance that you're going to walk away from it unharmed. That's just statistics here in the United States. So you always have that 25% chance that you might not walk away. You might still have to face a violent attack. You might face anywhere from and up to completely having deadly force used against you, even though you complied. So there's always that. I use the 4 quarters in a dollar: 25, 50, 75, $1. I use the 4 quarters. You have 4 quarters. 3 of those quarters, 75% chance that you're going to walk away from it, and then you have that 25% chance that you're not going to walk away from it. So that's for a lot of people, that's like, oh, I'm just going to comply. I'm not going to fight back. If you want to comply, you need to be fully compliant. You don't need to be partially compliant and partially non-compliant. If you're going to comply, you need to go ahead and comply all the way, and then just wait for your opportunity to draw from the drop. If you're able to, if you're unarmed and you're not able to, then you have no choice but to comply. You could try for a firearm disarm. You could try for a weapon disarm if you can. I wouldn't recommend it if you're not skilled in any kind of jiu-jitsu or any kind of martial arts. I know a couple of people here in the county that could disarm 1 or 2 people and fight a fair fight against 2 or even 3 people. A few people here in the county, I'm not going to name any names. I wouldn't recommend trying to disarm anyone, even if it's one attacker, even if it's somebody with a knife. That's a close call you're making, and you could wind up with wounds that are irreversible. You might not be able to survive those wounds. So if you're going to comply, I would say complete compliance. If you're not going to comply, I would say absolutely be non-compliant to the point where you're going to either try to disarm that person or try to draw your firearm in a manner that's not gonna cost you your life, and it's gonna be a swift and quick manner that you're going to be able to get effective rounds on target and neutralize the threat. So that's just some statistics, just so you guys are aware of what happens during these encounters when it comes to any kind of robberies and strong arm robberies with a firearm or any kind of weapon like that. 25% chance that you're still going to be harmed or anywhere up to deadly force used against you, even if you comply. So this person, getting back to the scenario, you neutralize this person. You contact law enforcement. This person is incapacitated, completely incapacitated. You go ahead and disarm them. You remove the firearm from them. You secure the scene. You make sure your firearm is in a location where it's going to be safe, so that when law enforcement arrives, you're going to have your hands on your head, and you're going to be able to let them know that you're the good guy and not the bad guy, and the bad guy is on the side of the street, and bad guy is no longer in the fight, and you're still in the fight. When law enforcement arrives, you're going to have all kinds of people taking statements from you. You're going to have detectives. You're going to have all kinds of people closing off the scene. They're going to want to interview you. They're going to want to question you. I would say if you have any kind of insurance, concealed carry insurance, comply. Let them know that you're going to be fully compliant and that you're not going to evade any kind of investigation. You're not going to not be compliant. You are going to comply, but first you need your attorney, and don't say anything else until your attorney arrives. That's the exact same words you have to say. You don't need to say maybe I need my attorney or I might need my attorney. No, you need to be firm and 100% clear with law enforcement when they arrive. I will fully comply, but first I need my attorney. And don't say anything else until your attorney arrives. Don't answer any other questions. Just notify them that you're going to be fully compliant. So before your lawyer arrives, it's brought to your attention that this person that had the firearm pointed to your head actually had a replica firearm, a fake firearm pointed to your head. You had no idea. It looked like a firearm. It smelled like a firearm. Maybe you smelled the metal. It felt like a firearm because it was pointed against your head. Whatever the case might be, maybe it wasn't pointed at your head. You had a reasonable perception of a deadly threat. So in this scenario, you're good all day long. Anybody in your shoes would have perceived that firearm to be real. You're under no obligation to have to be a BB gun expert or a replica gun expert, and to have to identify that this gun is fake and have to do all that in order to defend yourself and keep yourself safe from a violent attack. So you're under no obligation to have to inspect that replica firearm and make sure and check with the robber to see if that firearm was actually real or fake. So in this scenario, reasonable perception of a deadly threat wins, and you get to walk away from the scene. Maybe you don't walk away from the scene right away. Maybe you have to wait there for a bit. But if it's determined that everything's fine, your lawyer arrives, everything's clean cut, you're gonna walk away from that, and you're gonna be in the clear, because any reasonable perception of a deadly threat, anybody else would have perceived that to be a real firearm and not a fake. All right, so we're gonna move from there. We have that scenario. We're gonna go ahead and do one last one here. All right, so we're gonna do this one here. Is gonna be it's gonna be protection in the residence. So you get somebody that breaks into your house at night. You hear some glass shatter, and then you hear the sliding glass door of your balcony. Let's say we're gonna say you're living on the first floor of a townhouse. Here in Florida, we have townhouses, and you have a sliding glass door on the first floor. Anybody could just bust that glass, open the door from the inside, and gets into your apartment or your house or wherever you're living. So you arm yourself. Obviously, we have protections when it comes to the home. We have a little bit more elevated protections, like we've said in videos in the past. When it comes to your home, you have something called the castle doctrine. It protects you in the home, protects you from any kind of home invasions or any kind of activity like that that's not lawful. And you don't need to retreat. You don't need to do anything like that, especially here in Florida. I don't know about other states. I know other states where you have to retreat, even in the home. But let's say you're on the second or third floor of your townhome, and somebody breaks in, and then you perceive it to be a threat, and you have your back against the wall, and you have a window behind you, and you have nowhere else to run, and this person's coming at you. You don't see any weapons on them. You might see something in their pocket. Maybe you perceive it to be a weapon. But for that scenario, we're just gonna say you go ahead and you use force and up to deadly force for this incident. We're gonna go ahead and say you're gonna be in the clear because you had no choice but to resort to that. And we're talking about deadly force or any kind of force up to deadly force with this intruder in your home. We're talking about states that require you to flee or require you to retreat before you can use any kind of force like that. But as far as Florida, you have no retreat laws. We have none of that. Even on the street, we have stand your ground, like we've said in the past videos. Stand your ground. Even on the street, you have no you're under no obligation to flee or retreat, as long as you have a legal right to be in that location. You have a right to be in that location, a legal right, and you don't have to run. You don't have to go the opposite way, run away, or do any of that stuff unless you find it useful for yourself to keep yourself safe. So you could go ahead and do that, but you're under no obligation to flee if you're being attacked on the street or your home. But let's just say for this scenario, this person breaks into your house. You arm yourself with a 9mm. You have a 9mm. You arm yourself and you confront this person in your kitchen area downstairs by the garage, and you happen to see a silhouette of a shadow. There's a light on in your garage, and you happen to see this hooded person. This person's wearing a hood, and he has one hand in one pocket, and he has his other hand out of his pocket. He's holding some kind of property in his left hand. You can't really see what it is. He's got something that he's probably stolen from inside your house. You can't really identify what the object is that he has stolen, but he's acting in a manner that's not consistent with somebody that would be held at gunpoint. Obviously, you have your 9mm and you have this person at gunpoint, and they decide to charge you. They decide to charge you. I don't know what it is that he has in his left hand. It could be a heavy object. It could be a light object. But this person has something in their right pocket, inside the pocket. Let's just say for this example, that way we could do kind of a 50-50 to where we complicate this so that you can come up with your own conclusions to this. And you go ahead and you fire at this aggressor that's coming at you, and you go ahead and you fire 3 rounds into their center mass. You fire 3 rounds into their chest, and you put this person down. This person's been neutralized. The threat has been neutralized. He's still responsive. He hasn't been deleted or unalived yet. This person has been stopped. The threat has stopped. So you go ahead and you stop any kind of further firing of your weapon. Once the threat's been stopped, that's your goal, is to stop the threat. It's not to do anything more severe than that. It's not to unalive or delete. That's not your goal. Your goal is to stop the threat. Any kind of threat that's presenting itself to you in your home, on the street, you go ahead and you stop the threat. You get on the phone with law enforcement. You notify them that you've had a home invasion. You have one subject on the floor. He's on his back. He's still responsive. You shot 3 times. He broke into your house. You explained to law enforcement that this person broke into the balcony area, and you explained all the circumstances. This is what happened. If you are a concealed carry insurance policy holder, once again, you advise any kind of law enforcement arriving on the property that you're going to comply fully, but you first need your attorney, and you don't answer any other questions going forward until your attorney is present. You just explain the situation, just explain briefly what happened. This person entered my home unlawfully. They weren't invited. They broke the window or sliding glass door. They had something in their hand, or whatever the case might be. It's determined later on that this person had a banana in their right pocket. That was the hand that you saw in their jacket, in their hood. They had a banana in their pocket. It was bulging. Obviously, the pocket was bulging, so it appeared to be maybe a firearm. Maybe you thought it was a firearm. Maybe you didn't think it was a firearm. This person has something else in their left hand. It could have been a heavy object that you could have been hit with. It's determined that this person had a bottle of vodka in their left hand that they had stolen from your shelf when they were in the kitchen. The bottle of vodka was still intact when the person fell to the ground. It didn't break. So the bottle of vodka is clearly there. It was dropped out of this person's hand, and then the person's on their back, and they determine that this person didn't have any firearms on them. And you're gonna once again, reasonable perception of a deadly threat. Here in Florida, the castle doctrine prevents or protects you when it comes to any kind of a home invasion in your home. So if you have anybody that breaks into your home knowingly and knows that this is a dwelling, this is not just a structure. A structure in Florida is defined as a building that could be a commercial building. It's a building that holds occupants during business hours and then sometimes after hours, but is not considered a home. A dwelling would be a house, a place that houses individuals overnight, that is equipped to have people sleeping in it overnight and having guests or occupants or owners of the property that are there overnight, that reside in the structure, which would qualify it as a dwelling. When you have any kind of a home invasion, it is presumed that this person's coming in there to commit a felony or to commit great bodily harm or death to you, knowingly that they're breaking into a occupied dwelling. Here in Florida, at least, I don't know about other states, but I know for Florida, you're covered all day long. You can use up to deadly force if necessary. We don't preach it. Once again, we don't preach any kind of violence or any kind of unnecessary actions or any kind of unnecessary force if it's not justified. So if you find yourself in a situation where you could just hold somebody at gunpoint, let's say this guy stayed. Once you held him at gunpoint and he took his hands out of his pockets, he got on his knees and he put his hands on his head, hold him there at gunpoint. Don't shoot. If you don't have to shoot someone, then there's no need to shoot him. It's not about where did you shoot him. It's not about did you have to shoot him. It's did you want to shoot him? No, it shouldn't be any of that. It should be did you have to. And many people have different opinions when it comes to this. Many people will say, well, he's in there anyway, I'm going to shoot him anyway. Me personally, I'm not going to shoot anyone that I don't have to shoot when it comes to this kind of stuff, even though you're justified in doing that in your dwelling or maybe on the street. If it presents if it qualifies for it, I wouldn't recommend it. Just on a moral note, just because that's just me. Everybody's different. But if let's say you held this guy at gunpoint, he got on his knees, he put his hands on his head, and he said, "I give up. I'm sorry," whatever the case might be. Make sure he doesn't reach for any weapons. Hold him at gunpoint until law enforcement arrives, and then that's how you handle that situation. We get people on here all the time that say, well, what if you shot him in the back or the back of the leg or something like that? All those things are not going to matter as far as self-defense, as long as you have to shoot. If you had to shoot, then you had to shoot, and it doesn't matter where you shot him, as long as you can articulate and explain to law enforcement, and then later on to the courts if it reaches that level, why you did what you did, and you have any kind of reasonableness or any kind of a reasonable articulable reason why you used the amount of force you did and why you shot in the back. You might have shot in the back once, twice, maybe 5 times. Maybe you didn't shoot him in the back. Maybe you shot him and somehow he was shot through the side of his body because he moved in a manner that ended up having those wounds. As long as you make sure that you're justified in doing what you're doing everything reasonable. It's a reasonable perception of a deadly threat, and you're authorized to do what you did. You're not going to have any issues. Once again, if you have any concealed carry insurance, they're gonna provide you with a card. I carry mine right here on my fanny pack when I'm not working. I carry my insurance card for concealed carry insurance. It's gonna have certain instructions on the front well, not on the front, but on the back, you got your concealed carry insurance card, your member ID. It's going to have some instructions on the back that's going to tell you exactly what you need to do if you're a concealed carry insurance policy holder. It's going to direct you to cooperate, fully cooperate with law enforcement. Let law enforcement know that you're going to fully cooperate. You're not being unreasonable. You're not being difficult. You're not trying to evade or try to avoid any kind of investigation or try to tamper with any evidence. Don't tamper with any evidence on the scene. If something fell somewhere, leave it. Don't touch it. If a firearm fell on the floor, as long as everything's safe, don't touch it. If you have to move something because it's for safety reason, make sure you let law enforcement know that you had to move it for reasons A, B, and C. Excuse me. And that you're going to be fine as long as you explain everything you've done. You don't want to tamper with any evidence or anything like that, because tampering with evidence is going to be perceived as guilt. It doesn't matter what insurance you have. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be an attorney. You could be a law enforcement officer. You can be an off-duty law enforcement officer. It doesn't matter who you are. If you tamper with anything, it's going to be perceived as guilt. You have to be aware of things. You know, there might be shell casings on the floor. If you happen to use your firearm, those shell casings can disappear depending on if somebody's wearing sneakers or boots. Shell casings can disappear all the time, so you just need to be aware of what you're doing. If you're stepping on any kind of evidence or potential evidence, you just have to be very careful. And then once again, cooperate with law enforcement. If you are a concealed carry insurance policy holder, follow by your policy's instructions on your card, on your membership card. You're going to cooperate with law enforcement. You're not going to complicate any investigations or try to evade any investigation or tamper with any kind of investigation. And you're going to comply fully, but first you need your lawyer present before answering any questions, and then go from there. But that's the instructional video for tonight. We went a little bit longer than we're supposed to go for tonight. We're 42 minutes and change into this. This video is going to be about an hour long from what we did earlier with the instructional video, but that's fine. It was a good video tonight. We got a lot of information out to you guys. We want you guys to be aware. We don't want to scare anybody. We don't want to make anybody paranoid or try to give you any kind of information that's going to complicate things for you or confuse you. We're not trying to do that. We just like to give you guys the best case scenario, the worst case scenario, and what can happen in these incidents, and just so you're prepared if you ever find yourself in any kind of a self-defense situation in the home, out in the street. Don't do there's a rule that I follow that a friend told me a long time ago about don't do stupid things at stupid times in stupid places. And if you violate one of those, more than likely you violated more than one of those already. So if you're in a stupid place, let's say you're downtown at the club at 3 in the morning, that's a stupid place to be. At 3 in the morning, you're not gonna find anything but trouble in those locations. Maybe you want to turn up, like some people say, I want to turn up and I want to have a good weekend or whatever. You're putting yourself at risk, and you just have to be careful what you do. Just be very careful what you do. Stupid places at stupid times. 3 in the morning, pretty stupid time for you to be out anywhere at 3 in the morning. Anything after 10 p.m. is you're putting yourself at risk. Nothing good happens after 10 p.m. till 5 a.m. There's statistics, there's all kinds of studies that these are the hours that all this bad stuff happens. So stupid places at stupid times, doing stupid things, which is getting yourself into any kind of encounters with people that are under the influence or just out of their minds. Maybe they're not, maybe they're going through something, and then you happen to run into this person, and you happen to be in one of these locations where you should not be at that hour. You're free to do whatever you want. That's why we live in the United States. We all enjoy our freedoms living in the United States, but there's certain things that you need to be aware of, and you need to just be wise and don't put yourself in situations where you know, you can avoid. If you can avoid, that's how you win. Once again, like we said in the past, that's how you win. So we're done with the instructional video for tonight. This is over. 45 minutes and change. Once again, we're going to do our shout out.